All right, come on over to your yoga mat if you're not there yet. We will start laying down if that feels okay to you. And perhaps Shavasana could be the pose of the day for you. Maybe letting your arms and legs extend, taking up just as much room and space as you'd like. You don't even have to stay all on your mat. Maybe your feet and your arms reaching outside of the edges of your mat. If you prefer, maybe bend your knees and stand your feet up near the edges of the mat. Kind of tuck the tailbone under so the low back is a little more flat. This is constructive rest pose. You can let your knees come in toward the center line if you'd like. And no matter which pose you're choosing to start in, just make sure you're feeling pretty settled or on your way to being settled. Keep adjusting, of course, until it feels just right for you, adding some extra props or pillows or blankets if you want a little more comfort. And taking a quick little body scan here, starting at the tips of your toes. Notice how your toes and your feet are feeling, maybe even spreading the toes out or giving them a little wiggle so you can really start to feel in to that area. And just noticing any aches or pains or tightness or holding. Feel kind of free and loose. Just becoming aware. And up to the ankles and the lower part of the legs, the shins and calves. Noticing. Moving up to your knees. How are your knees doing today? And to the upper part of the legs, the thighs, the hamstrings rather, thighs and hamstrings. And moving up to the hip joints and pelvis, just noticing anything there. And then up to the navel area, the stomach, and the low back. And the mid back and the rib cage. And up to your shoulders, your upper back, your chest, upper portion of the torso. Sometimes it's easier to just kind of take it as one chunk there, just torso, front and back, noticing anything there. And then becoming aware of your arms, the upper arms, the elbows, the lower arms. How are your arms? And then becoming aware of the fingers, maybe even wiggling the fingers or squeezing your hands into fists for a second and then releasing. Or maybe running your thumbs over the tips of your other fingers. Just seeing, how do the hands feel? You had to use them a lot today. Do they feel energized or tired or any other descriptors you can think of? Then coming on up to your neck. Notice your neck and your throat. Noticing your head, the scalp. And moving along to the ears and your jaw, your mouth. Noticing all of the rest of the facial features, your eyes, your cheeks, your forehead. Anything going on here in the head? Physically. And then we'll kind of tune in to the energy levels and your emotions. Just noticing how how you're feeling. There are one or two or three emotions you might be able to identify. And as you consider your emotions and potentially your energy levels, I have a little reading I'd like to share. This is a tiny prayer for those who are moving more slowly than usual by Reverend Mikky B. May you listen to your body instead of rushing it. May you still your mind instead of scolding it. And may you remember that both often show you the pace at which you should actually be moving, whether you like it or not. I like that first line. May you listen to your body instead of rushing it. Just keeping that in mind with your practice today. Know that you can always be a breath or two or three behind or in your own variations and explorations. And taking a few breaths here. If you haven't yet noticed the flow of your breath, just bringing awareness there. Noticing the flow with a touch of air through the nostrils, down into the low parts of the lungs for a couple rounds of diaphragmatic breathing if you're up for it. So just letting your belly expand with your inhales. And soften with your exhales. Just taking a few more rounds here. And as you do, notice if you'd like to set a dedication or intention for your practice today. Maybe something or someone you want to focus on. Could be an emotion or a quality you'd like to grow in your life, or some kind of honest resolve or promise. It's really open-ended. And if you're not quite sure, just maybe asking yourself, why am I here? Why am I practicing yoga today? Letting that be your intention. As you continue to breathe and contemplate an intention or dedication, start to just intensify your breathing very slightly. So just knowing that we're getting ready to start moving, just kind of breathing in a pace that can support a little more, I want to say, vitality or energy. So it could be a little faster or a little more effort. Still relatively calm though overall. Let's take 3 clearing breaths. We'll inhale through the nose. And a big sigh out of your mouth whenever you're ready. 2 more just like that. Go right ahead. And then coming back to a sustainable pace of breath as you begin wiggling your fingers and toes. If your knees are bent, go ahead and straighten your knees and reach long for a long body stretch. Arms and legs reaching in opposite directions. And you can either keep going here or kind of turn this into like a reclined star pose where you're creating kind of an X shape with your body, so your hands and your feet kind of reaching out on the diagonal. Go ahead and kind of alternate there if there's any other angles you want to try with reaching the arms and legs, maybe out wide or way back up high, almost like you're making a makeshift snow angel on the floor. Go ahead and keep exploring stretch here through your whole body. Maybe circling your ankles and wrists a few times in this elongated state. Alrighty. And then we'll start to roll onto either side, finding the fetal position. And then use the help of your hands and arms to press your way up to a comfortable seat. You can always come up to sit on some blocks if you'd like, or up onto a chair even. If you're okay sitting on the floor here, let's just tent the fingertips off to the sides and lengthen upwards through the crown of your head. I like to close my eyes when doing this. You're invited to do that as well, just so you can really feel the support beneath you. Notice which parts of your body are feeling the floor or your props. And notice kind of this energetic line up your spine to the crown of your head. And we're taking kind of like a half tuck of the chin or like a quarter tuck of your chin, mostly thinking about lengthening through the back of your neck a little bit here. It's very subtle. And then notice your level of effort and ease here. If you're feeling too rigid, just kind of softening slightly. If you're feeling too soft or slumped over, maybe you kind of use just a little bit more effort, finding that balance in your body in this pose. And then with an inhale, let's reach both arms around and up. And with your exhale, let's cactus the arms. We're kind of bending elbows, reaching the elbows kind of back behind you a little bit here. Let's do that again. We're inhaling to reach up. And exhale, cactus arms, pulling those shoulder blades behind you. Let's do that a couple of times, just using your inhale to lift up. And then your exhale to bend the elbows. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, reaching up. And exhale, bending your elbows. All right, go ahead and release those hands down to the floor. Let's tuck the chin down toward the center of your chest, letting your shoulder blades kind of rotate back and down. And noticing in the back of your neck here, of course, seeing what's up with that. Just had that SNL skit, What's Up With That, pop in to my mind when I said that, if you know it. Sorry if it's stuck in your head now too. All right, we're moving that right ear toward the right shoulder, feeling the left side of your neck and your shoulder, just kind of softening down and away. Noticing all those little muscles on the side of your neck. I think they're called scalenes. It's kind of slipping my mind right now, but I believe they're called scalenes. And then tucking your chin back down toward the center of your chest and switching sides when you're ready. Left ear rotating, reaching toward your left shoulder. Again, noticing anything that's happening now on the other side of your neck, your right side of the neck. Go ahead and rotate back and forth a few times, dipping your chin down to center and then over to the other side. Couple times more. Feel free to spend extra time anywhere that needs some more focus. Okay. And let's bring the neck or the chin back down toward the center of the chest, and then come on back up to a neutral position. So doing like full neck circles is not actually very good on the neck. So we're gonna take more like a circle, like you're looking in a circle on this plane instead of like letting your neck go back. We're just gonna kind of turn and look. So you're looking down and then you're kind of looking over toward the right and then you're sort of looking toward the ceiling. So we're kind of creating, if your nose could draw right now, we're just kind of creating a big circle in front of ourselves. So the neck is staying pretty much upright. Then go ahead and switch directions whenever you're ready. Just feeling in to the mobility and motion of your neck here. I always like to kind of stick my jaw out or kind of like up a little bit, or my chin when I'm looking up. It just feels like such a nice little stretch for my jaw. Let's try that. It looks kind of funny, but it feels good. Okay, coming back to the center. Let's grab our blocks if you have them. We're gonna do a little bit of a hip strengthening. So go ahead and set them down on the lowest setting. Scoot back a little bit here. I think you can see them still. So blocks are down on the lowest setting, just maybe about a foot away from each other or so. I'm gonna switch my camera a little bit here so you can see a little bit closer. You can obviously adjust anytime you need to. And we'll start with that. So we're gonna place the hands behind ourselves here. Your fingertips could be pointing away or to the sides. Or sometimes people like to face their fingertips toward their body. I kind of like somewhere in between. So we're just leaning back slightly, kind of puffing the chest up a little bit here. And we're going to start doing these little leg lifts here. So we're going to start with the right leg. So make sure your left leg is straight out to the left side with enough space between your left leg and your block, because we're going to move our legs all the way across. So here we go. Let's pick up that right leg and bring it to the middle of the block, setting it down. And then picking it up again and moving it all the way over next to your left leg. All right, let's go on back, moving it to the center and then to the right. And then we're going to switch sides. So the left leg gets a little turn here now too. So go ahead and lift that left leg up, bringing it to the center and then bringing it to the right. Go ahead and make your way back when you're ready. Left leg goes to the middle, and left leg goes out wide. Okay, if that felt like a big challenge, go ahead and stay at that height. If you want more of a challenge, you could bring your blocks up to a higher setting, maybe the medium setting, or maybe the highest setting if you're going for a big challenge today. Go ahead and keep exploring here a couple more times through. We're just lifting and then lowering the right leg, up and over a couple times, back and forth. Just experiment here at your own pace. We'll just keep switching sides in between. So whenever that right foot's had enough, or that right leg, then we're moving that left leg over. And just become, attuned to what's going on with your hip joints here. Hip muscles, stabilizing muscles there around the hip joints. Whenever you feel like you've had enough, usually those hips will start talking to you. Whenever you've had enough, just make sure that you end with the left leg so that it's equal on both sides. Take your time. And then eventually when you feel that you've had enough, you can circle your ankles a couple times. As I was preparing for this class, I was trying to move both legs at the same time. You could play a little bit, move both legs into the middle, and then both legs out. Ooh, it's kind of hard. Any other little experiments you want to try, go right ahead. And just circling your ankles out whenever you kind of feel done with that. Hopefully you're feeling quite a bit of activation and maybe a little bit of even fatigue through those hip joints. Good. Okay, let's move those blocks up toward the top of the mat. And then find our 90-90 pose, or deer pose. We're bending both knees off toward the right side. If it feels challenging to sit in this position, go ahead and sit up on your blocks. This will take out the range of motion needed to have your legs quite like this if it's feeling uncomfortable, or a pillow or something like that. And it's called 90-90 because the legs are almost at 90 degrees, but you can kind of work with that. It doesn't have to be perfect. And let's start to take a little twist toward the left. If you want, that right knee or that right hand could come to your left knee. That left hand maybe finding a place on the mat or the floor. Start to kind of press that right hip forward as you twist toward the left. And we're here for a couple of breaths. maybe one more breath here. Then we're going to find a bit of a variation on pigeon pose. We're keeping the legs about the same. We're going to unwind a little bit and center your chest over that left knee. And just go ahead and start folding forward. And we want to kind of hinge at the hip here first. We're kind of puffing the chest up a little bit. The head is staying lifted. And we're feeling more of a folding through the lower part of the belly and the hip. If you want to keep going, maybe those hands walk out in front of you. Maybe your forearms could come down to your blocks if you want some support, or the floor if you can reach. Just finding some kind of nice resting spot. And notice if you're clenching or holding through either of your glutes and see if softening feels safe for your body. We're here for, let's say, about 5 more breaths. So just feeling in to this little hip opener. About 2 more breaths or so. One more breath. When you're ready, starting to find your way back up, going nice and slow. And then we're going to switch sides. So bringing that right leg up and around, that left leg out toward the left side, 90-90. Sometimes doing the second side can feel a little bit harder because we've just done the first side so much. So really, if you want or need some extra height, go ahead and sit on your blocks or bring a pillow or a blanket underneath that right hip. Check the legs, make sure they're a comfortable angle now. And then we'll start twisting toward the right. So the left hand may be coming to your right knee. Find a place for your right hand, maybe even up on a block if that feels a little nicer for your spine. And we're kind of pressing that left hip forward as we continue to find a little twist over your right shoulder. Find your breath here. Make sure that even though you're kind of restricted with a twist, make sure you still can get some kind of sense of a nice full breath in and out. 2 more breaths in your twist. 1 more breath in. 1 more breath out. Start to unwind and center your chest somewhat over that right knee. Sometimes it feels a little bit better to have a slightly less or more angle. You can discern that for your own body here. Let's walk the hands forward, remembering to kind of hinge at the hips. We're kind of puffing the chest forward as we start to lower, kind of like the low belly toward your thigh more so. Sometimes we have the tendency to like round and try to get our head close to the floor, but we're kind of not doing that here right now. And easing in to a nice restful place for this stretch. You can grab your blocks to put your forearms on if that feels nice, or maybe your forearms can reach the floor. Your choice. Check for any gripping or holding through, especially that left glute. And see if you can soften if it feels safe. We've got about 5 more breaths here. And when the time feels right, go ahead and Walk your hands back up, starting to rise back up when you're ready. Let's swing those legs around, straightening your legs out in front of you for a moment. Just give them a nice little wiggle or bounce. And then sweeping the legs all the way back and around, coming to tabletop for a few rounds of cat and cow. Spreading those fingertips out with your hands right below your shoulders and your knees below your hips. With your inhale, lower your belly, lift your gaze and your tailbone, finding our cow pose. And then exhale to round your spine up toward the sky. Tuck your tailbone, tuck your chin, press your hands into the floor so your shoulder blades are kind of spreading out more. This is our cat. Inhale, cow, gaze lifting. Exhale, cat. And letting this motion of cat pose kind of press the air out of the lungs. You can even kind of engage through the core a little bit to get that last little bit of air out. Go ahead, keep exploring your cat and cow for a couple more rounds. And then coming around to our child's pose, extended child's pose next. We'll bring those knees out wide toward the edges of your mat, big toes touching behind you. Go ahead and sink your seat toward your heels as much as it feels comfortable to do so. Maybe finding the forearms on the floor or blocks, or walking your hands out toward the top of your mat and then sinking head and heart toward the floor. While you're here, just remembering your intention if you set one. Taking a couple rounds of diaphragmatic breath here, letting your belly take up space with your inhales. Letting it go with your exhales. One more breath here. You're always welcome to stay longer if you find some places you want to be for a little more. And then rising up to tabletop, let's find our way to a downward dog here, bringing our hands to blocks if you have them still. Fingertips will be spread out here, and curl your toes under. Start to pick up your knees, reaching your tailbone high. Reach through the shoulders so they stay nice and engaged. If you want to pedal out your legs, just bending and straightening opposite knees a couple of times. Just about one more breath in. One more breath out. Bend your knees deeply, look up to your hands, but with your exhale, walk your hands to the back of your mat. So you end up in a forward fold at the back of your mat. Ragdoll forward fold. Your feet could stay where they're at, or maybe even go out wider. Maybe you take a wide-legged ragdoll today if you want. Feet could come out toward the edges of your mat, or even wider. Your call. We're just letting the upper body hang kind of loose here. Maybe if your feet are way out wide, if your hands can touch the floor, cool. Maybe those blocks can come in handy. You're always welcome to change it around a little bit as we go, just letting your upper body hang kind of loose. If you want to sway a little bit or bend and straighten knees or anything else, be my guest. And as a little experiment, if your feet are on your mat, as an experiment here, see what it's like to pull up on the kneecap or the kneecaps by kind of engaging the quads a little bit here. So just using the muscles of your legs, just pulling up on the kneecaps. That should give you a little more length through your hamstrings, maybe a little more forward fold, but don't push it too far. All right, and then bend your knees a little bit deeper, tucking your chin toward your chest. Walk your hands up your legs as you slowly rise to stand. When you get to the top, just adjusting your clothing or anything else that needs a little adjusting before moving forward. And we'll get a little bit of a shake and a bounce going here. So just go ahead and start maybe lifting and lowering your heels or shaking the arms a little bit or any other parts of your body that want some movement and shaking. Just go ahead, listen on in to what feels like moving. Maybe a little willow tree action in there, swinging the arms side to side. You get to make it all up. Sometimes it's kind of fun to like jump. It's not usually something we do in yoga very often, jumping up and down off of your mat, but again, you are welcome to explore some more movement and shaking and bouncing for just a couple more breaths. Whew, feels so good. Get everything going a little bit. All right, when you're ready, come on back to the back of your mat. And with an inhale, reach your arms around and up, joining hands overhead. You can interlace your fingers and point, keep the pointer fingers straight. So you're kind of pointing straight up on top of your head, just straight up. Okay, find your breath again here. We're inhaling at the center. With your exhale, we're going to side bend to the right. So we're reaching those hands over toward the right. We're pressing down through the left foot a little more. With your inhale, come on back up to center. And exhale, side bending to the left, pressing the right foot down a little more. Inhale to come back up to center. Let's do that on each side again. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, rise. Exhale, side bend to the left. Inhale, rise. With your exhale, release your hands, swan dive. Forward fold, hinging at the hips again here, and then releasing your hands toward the floor. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, knees or thighs. And exhale, walk your hands all the way out to your blocks or the top of your mat for your high plank. You're welcome to stay here for 3 breaths, just as is, or you can try experimenting with bending your right knee and straightening it back to the floor, and then bending your left knee, and then straightening, bringing your foot back to the floor. You can do that twice on each foot if you want. And then using an exhale, lower your knees and bring your chest down to the floor. You can always kind of amp things up a little bit with moves like that if you want to, or take it easy and just head right down sooner. Press the tops of your feet down into your mat. Pull your hands back so they're a little bit closer, planted next to your low rib cage. With your inhale, start to press down through the tops of your feet so your knees start lifting, and lift your head and chest, finding your baby cobra. And then exhale, lower down. Inhale, rising up, baby cobra. Exhale, lower down. One last time. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, lower. Let's lower down to crocodile pose, stacking your hands or fists underneath your forehead. Let your heels splay out to the sides. And just see how quickly you can soften into a little state of relaxation. Getting in control of the breath seems to be a good tool, at least for me. Just like really consciously reining it back in, slowing that exhale down. And one more breath. Let's take a clearing breath in through your nose and sigh through your mouth. Planting your hands next to your chest. With your inhale, start to rise up to your tabletop. And then exhale to child's pose. Knees can stay a little closer together if you like. big breath in and out. One more breath in. Feel the mid back expanding with that breath. And exhale. Inhale, rise back up, tabletop. You can grab those blocks underneath your hands if you'd like, or just transition right to your downward dog. We'll have 3 breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last breath in. Breath out. We're doing things a little bit differently today. With your inhale, bend your knees and look up toward your hands. But with your exhale, walk your hands back to a kind of squat. It's more of like a toe stand today. So just walk your hands back. Your knees can go out kind of wide, so you're almost like in a frog-looking position. Okay, we'll just stay here for a moment or two. Feeling a little bit more opening through the kind of groin and hip areas, wherever you are feeling it. A little bit of strengthening for the feet, a little bit of a stretch for the plantar fascia on the bottom of the feet. And with our inhale, we're going to rise all the way up and reach the hands overhead, front onto your tippy toes if that's available to you. So just give it a try. We're playing here. We're inhaling to rise all the way up, hands sweeping around and up, hands join overhead. And then exhale, lower your heels and your hands to your heart. No matter how that went, just kind of shaking it off, coming back into the present moment here with hands at heart center. Practicing this coming back to your center, balancing the effort and ease through your body, checking in with any of those trouble areas that you have tension tendencies. Always squeezing something or another, just checking in, smoothing things out. Not scolding yourself if you find anything you deem as wrong, just actually considering it a win that you've noticed. And let's take one more breath here, clearing breath this time. Inhale through your nose and sigh to release. Good. All right, let your hands come down by your sides. We're gonna do a little bit of balancing, and we're gonna grab a block here, or a book or something. So if you like to do balancing with a wall or something else handy, go ahead and find your space you like to do that in. We're gonna offer up tree pose today with some extra playful movements. We're gonna just keep the block in our right hand or whatever hand you want to as we begin. So feet, getting comfy here. We're gonna shift all the weight to the right leg and then find that little kickstand position with the left heel resting on your right ankle, opening your left knee out toward that left side. And here is where things will get a little bit fun. First, though, if you want to, you can slide that left foot up to your right calf. It's up to you. You can always keep your toes on the floor, no problem. Find an unmoving focal point to look at. If you're looking at the screen to see what's going on, maybe, well, I'm a moving focal point, but maybe you look somewhere close by. And with an inhale, let's slowly reach the arms out wide. And then exhale to bring them back in. If you want to have them at heart center or holding onto the block, that could be a good option. Now, if you'd like, we're going to add on the leg to this. So with your inhale, we're going to reach the hands out wide and extend that left leg out toward the left side. And then exhale, bring it back into your tree pose. Okay, this is option, number 3. So you can continue to do this with your inhales expanding and with your exhales bringing it back in, really active tree pose. If you prefer, you might just bring that block to the top of your head and just balancing it there with your more classic tree pose. Maybe you continue to open and close with that block on your head. Your choice. We'll be here for about, let's say, 5 more breaths. Play and do whatever you'd like in that time. Just about 3 more breaths. You can always come down early if that right foot is telling you it's had enough, or whatever parts of your body are speaking to you through sensation or otherwise. And maybe about 1 more breath in, taking that block up off your head. And then exhale, lower that right or that left foot down to the floor. Shake out that right leg. My right foot was really feeling it today. All right, let's switch sides, eventually bringing all of your weight over to that left foot, finding that kickstand position with your right knee opening up toward the right wall. Maybe if it was really challenging to do all of this with your foot up, maybe you could keep your toe on the floor here, moving it in and out. You choose. Let's bringing the blocks in the hands kind of to the center. And again, you might stay right here, just gazing directly at your drishti, your unmoving focal point. If you want to play, we might try inhaling to move just the arms first outward. And then exhale, bring it back in to the center. If you want to add on that leg, that foot, we're inhaling and we're reaching the arms and that right leg out. Any amount will do. And exhale, bring it back in, tree pose. Here's where you are set loose to play. You could keep doing this like so. Or maybe bring that block to the top of your head. You could stay still or continue to explore movement. And we're here for about 5 more breaths. If your block moves, that's fine. We're just playing. No one's getting graded. There's no score or scorekeeper. Just about 1 more breath, I think. Maybe lifting that block up off of your head with your inhale. And then with an exhale, letting everything come back down. Shake out that left leg a little bit. Whew. That was a lot of hip work today that we've done. Nice job, everyone. Let's take it on down to the floor. So just come on down however you like to get there. We're gonna go right to our backs. You can pull those knees in with you as you go, or bring them in when you arrive on your back. Just take a little bit of free movement here, rocking your knees around so that you get that nice massaging pressure through your low back. Down even through the glutes a little bit. If you get really over to one side, you could even get a little pressure on the hip joints. Just exploring, moving some pressure around there, circling your knees a little bit. Giving some love to that sacrum. All right, and then bringing your feet down to the floor. We'll take a little bit of a twist through the knees here. So maybe bringing your arms out wide and just letting the feet kind of toe heel out wide, and then allow your knees to both start twisting like kind of like a windshield wiper motion over toward the right. And then up and over toward the left. So it's kind of like windshield wiper. So both knees are kind of moving independently here. Just go ahead and keep alternating, twisting to the right, twisting to the left. And if there are any last movements, poses, or stretches that your body is asking you for, now is your time to move into those now. Maybe a happy baby, or maybe a spinal twist all the way with your knees, really reaching to one side, then the other. Your call here as you finish up the physical portion. And then as soon as you've had enough, finding your way to your final resting pose. Maybe corpse pose, shavasana. Maybe constructive rest with your knees bent. Maybe there's another pose you like to rest in. The sky's the limit. Maybe taking a nice deep clearing breath, inhaling and then sighing it out a time or two. Letting each exhale take you a little further into the floor. Almost like you're sinking into some nice warm sand on a sunny beach, or maybe kind of sinking into a nice comfy bed. Whatever kind of imagery feels comforting to you. And we'll do a little tense and release here, which is a nice technique for releasing tension. So maybe closing your eyes if you like, and then tensing up your hands and your feet. So just squeezing your hands into fists, squeezing those toes in, find some tension there, hands and feet, tense, 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 and then release. And we'll do that again with hands and feet, and this time the face included. So just squeezing your face, squeezing the hands, squeezing the toes. We're going to include a little bit more here. So squeezing through the legs and the glutes, the arms, squeezing as much as you can of your body here, squeezing. With an exhale, release. Release the squeeze of the glutes, the legs, feet, maybe even stretching your fingertips out wide for a second and then softening them. If you feel any other areas of your body that feel like they're still holding or tensing, go ahead and tense even more, squeezing that area and then softening. Just notice if that works for you. Almost feel like it kind of fatigues the area and then it has no other choice but to surrender. And using these last few minutes here just to find your way into this state of shavasana, of surrender, of maybe it feels restful or blissful or empty or full, just discovering what's here for you in the next few minutes. Aware of your awareness, aware of the thoughts that come in and out of your mind. What else can you be aware of in the present moment? And know that if you'd like to stay here and continue resting, you are so welcome to do so. When you're ready to move along, start to deepen your breath and wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe let your head rock from side to side as you circle ankles and wrists, freestyling a little bit as we reawaken. And eventually choosing a side and rolling over onto that side, finding your fetal position with your knees kind of tucked in a little bit and your bottom arm as your pillow. Take one nice, slow, present round of breath here. Sometimes like it's just the sweetest. And then using the help of your hands, press your way on up to a comfortable seat. If it feels okay to keep your eyes closed, we can close them on down as we join hands in front of heart center. Feel free to join me in our closing chant if you'd like. It goes Om Shanti 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 at the end. Let's take a breath in as we prepare. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, peace, peace, peace. Together, bringing thumbs up to third eye center. And in a little gesture of gratitude, if it feels right to you, let's take a little bow forward now. Peace. Thank you, everyone, for practicing today. Hope to see you again soon.